This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. This is a Fast Break Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me, as always, is Ricky Widmer.
What's up, guys?
And Dave Oster.
Hey, everybody.
And today, we are going to be doing our Mock Draft 4.0. This is episode 2 of the Fast Break this week. We just did our Wet Boy of the Year and playoff prediction episode. Go check that out on iTunes or Blog Talk Radio. We had a fun time there. And now we're going to be having even a better time on the Mock Draft 4.0. If you're listening on iTunes, give us a 5-star rating, the Fast Break Podcast. We love and need the support. Help us out over there. And if you're feeling generous, go to the Onside Kick page, the Primetime Podcast page, the Rick and Johnny page. The Outcast page isn't up yet, but also go give them love on YouTube. Most of you guys are already watching on YouTube, so just head over to the page and check out the Outcast with Buzz and Juice. Also, go check out mostvaluablepodcast.com. You can find all of our posts. You can also find our store over there and buy a lovely MVP t-shirt. And we're going to wrap that up with patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. Next week, we're going to have a double Patreon episode with Jake and Pat. And then next week, we're going to have Will on for 427. So it's going to be a fun time with those. If you want to be on a podcast, give your thoughts and talk about your opinions, then hit up patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast and look at that $10 tier. We also have some fun stuff like a video Patreon podcast every single month. You also have a Q&A at the $5 tier. But let's move on into the mock draft. Let's not waste any time because this first segment usually goes for about an hour. Let's do it, Ricky. Give us your 1 through 10.
Well, starting off at number 1, the Phoenix Suns. They have the number 1 pick for now. We'll see after the lottery, but they're going to take DeAndre Ayton. Then at number 2, Luka Doncic. He's back up into my top 3. Everyone can stop freaking out.
We had him at 7 last time. For people who didn't know.
Stop freaking out. He's at 2 now. Then the Mavericks taking Marvin Bagley. Marvin Bagley,
Jesus
the third
Christ.
from Duke. Then at, what am I on? 4 now?
Four.
I'm losing it here. Triple J, Jaren Jackson Jr., the forward from Michigan State. Then at 5, Trae Young going to the Orlando Magic. Number 6, my Bulls taking MPJ, forward out of Mizzou. Kings at 7 going Mikal Bridges, 3-and-D guy from Villanova. Then Mo Bamba going at 8 to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Kevin Knox going to the Knicks at 9. And then number 10, 76ers sneak in. They're taking Wendell Carter Jr. from Duke.
David Oster, give us your 1 through 10.
All right, my number 1, I've got the Suns taking DeAndre Ayton out of Arizona. Number 2, I've got the Grizzlies going Luka. At number 3, I've got the Mavericks. I don't know, I couldn't read that. Mavericks going Marvin Bagley III. At 4, I've got the Hawks going Jaren Jackson Jr. 5, come on, you know me. It's Trae Young. It's going to happen. Number 6, I've got the Bulls taking Michael Porter Jr. Like a message from God, him showing up to that Bulls game a couple weeks ago. Number 7, I've got the Kings going Mikal Bridges. At number 8, I've got the Cavs going Wendell Carter Jr. At number 9, I've got Miles Bridges to the Knicks. And number 10, I've got a surprise here. I've got Zaire Smith going to the 76ers.
That's a jump. First time Zaire Smith has been in the top 10 for any of our mock drafts.
Yep.
So it's a big name, a big move for Zaire Smith. And let's jump into my top 10 at number 1. Like Ricky and Dave, I have the Suns going DeAndre Ayton, the center from Arizona. 2, the Memphis Grizzlies going with Luka Doncic, just like Ricky and Dave does. Number 3, I have the Mavericks going with Jaren Jackson Jr. from Michigan State over the Marvin Bagley picks or the Mo Bamba picks. I know I consistently said Mo Bamba was going to be a Dallas Maverick. I think it might not be in the cards now. I think Jaren Jackson Jr. will be a nice fit on Dallas. 4, I have the Hawks going with Marvin Bagley III. One thing I want to say, someone said on your big board, oh, you guys are finally showing love for Marvin Bagley because I think someone had him in the top 5. It's ridiculous. Just because we put him outside the top 5 doesn't think he's a bad player. I'm sick of getting DMs about Marvin Bagley. All right, guys? I love that you guys are interacting, but I don't hate Marvin Bagley. I think he's a good prospect. I have the Hawks going with him at 4. 5, Trae Young going to the Orlando Magic just like Ricky and Dave has him. Then 6, Bulls going Mikal Bridges. I was surprised you guys didn't have Mikal going to the Bulls at 6.
I'll take MPJ. Thanks.
We'll talk about it. The Sacramento Kings at 7 go with Michael Porter Jr. from Mizzou. 8, the Cavs going with Mo Bamba from Texas. Number 9, the New York Knicks going with Wendell Carter Jr. from Duke. And number 10, the Philadelphia 76ers going with Miles Bridges from Michigan State University. Again, I love talking to you guys on DMs and Twitter, but every single comment we have is about Marvin Bagley. So let's jump in and talk about Marvin Bagley first. What makes this guy so compelling? What makes him this polarizing figure that if he's not number one, you're wrong, and if he's number one, you're also an idiot because Marvin Bagley, shouldn't be going number one. It's Luka Doncic, but also if you like Luka, you're an idiot. This is like the most hate we've ever gotten on players. Even so if we have someone at 7. Luka at 7, they're like, oh, that's a great idea. And then someone's like, oh, you guys are morons. You never watched basketball in your life. This is such a crazy, polarizing draft. Yeah. So let's start at one of the guys and Marvin Bagley. What's the reason that Marvin Bagley is so polarizing?
It's weird because Brandon and I kind of had this discussion, but more focused on Triple J in our recent big board that you guys can check out. But to me, it comes down to his team was so stacked to where it's like, what is he on his own? Because so many people are going to focus in on just this tournament and look at, when he was out there alone, the team did worse than when Wendell Carter was out there. So really, Wendell Carter's the guy we should be looking at, right? Like, that's what I've been feeling through this tournament, because the last tournament game, Wendell Carter sat for a couple minutes and it was just Bagley out there. Duke didn't look good at all. Wendell Carter comes in. That Duke team got a shot in the arm, got back into the game. I want to say that was the Syracuse game, if I'm remembering correctly. But that, to me, is the only thing with Marvin Bagley. It's nothing like, he doesn't do this well, doesn't do that well. It's just all right, he was so stacked on that team. What is it like where Jaren Jackson was him and Miles Bridges? Where
he was also on a stacked team.
It wasn't as stacked as Duke. Duke was no team was ever stacked. Duke was way more stacked than Michigan State.
But I see where you're going with that, and I'd just like to contest with he's a terrible defender. Mm-hmm. They literally had to play zone to cover up for his awful defense. So what I would say is that Wendell Carter is a complete big and has a lot of potential as well. And no disrespect. Marvin Bagley is just an offensive monster. He has amazing athleticism. He can learn to play defense maybe, but right now at this point, he doesn't have a high defensive IQ. But what he does have is a motor that won't quit, and he has a good shot, a good post game.
I was wondering this last night. Mm-hmm. Is Marvin Bagley, and you question me if I'm wrong, it's just a question, is Marvin Bagley a better offensive prospect than DeAndre Ayton?
They're close.
Yes, I would say so.
I don't think so because of the final size. I think that just you can't pass up DeAndre Ayton's size makes him a better offensive weapon. Statistically, they're very close. But I think offensive skill set wise, DeAndre Ayton has more potential because of his size.
And they're going to be playing the same position because DeAndre Ayton wants to be playing the 4, and Marvin Bagley would most likely be playing the 4 in the NBA. So that's the reason why I bring this up. And we talk about both of them not being great defenders. So that was one thing that I was thinking of last night. It was just Marvin Bagley might be more of a fluid athlete, but DeAndre Ayton is a brick shithouse. This guy's a monster. And we've seen consistently DeAndre Ayton show that he has a jump shot. So it's not like he's losing and lacking in that department. Marvin Bagley is not afraid to shoot it more, and Marvin Bagley is more of a can take over a game. I think more just because he has the ability to ball handle a little bit more than DeAndre Ayton does. Yeah. DeAndre Ayton needs a guard to at least set him up a little bit. But I was thinking about this last night, just questioning who is better offensively, because again, the size is obviously a big difference, and DeAndre Ayton seems more comfortable playing offense. It just seems like he's got he's more of a well-rounded player. But Marvin Bagley has so many tools that might make him really dangerous and might help him succeed more in the NBA. So that's one thing that I was looking at is DeAndre Ayton has been number 1 I think in all of our mock drafts. But still looking at it, I don't know if I'm 100% sold on him being number 1 because now Dave keeps bringing up this thing that the player picked at 3 is consistently in the top 2 of the best players selected in that draft. You look back from 2000 on, either the first pick's a bust or the second pick's a bust, and the third player is always, better than the first or second player. So that's why I'm questioning and looking at DeAndre Ayton, just trying to question where are the holes. Both guys can't play defense, so what's really setting them apart offensively?
The thing, though, is bringing that into it. I don't want to go really into it, but what's interesting is, so both of us, all 3 of us have either Triple J or Bagley at 3. If that 3 is the one that's going to be the better player, who's the bust out of 1, 2? Is it Ayton or is it Doncic? Because what you're saying is one of them's going to be a bust. We both have Ayton Doncic. Which one of those 2, Luka or DeAndre, will be the bust?
Well, that's the thing is I think looking at the I don't know if it means
and I'm not
bust.
Bringing this up just because of everything.
No,
with
I know
Luka.
I don't know if it means bust. It just means who's going to be the worst player because that whole argument doesn't typically mean bust. But I honestly think Luka Doncic is the only player that will not bust in this draft. I think this kid is so well-rounded that he's going to find a way to at least be a starter in the NBA.
Worst case scenario, he could be a starter for 7 to 10 years. That's the thing. So, I mean, like you said, bust is a relative word to what we're talking about. And I think that Ayton could be a bust if you consider his lack of defense. If he just stays unmotivated and not locked into games, you could consider him a bust, and he could be basically a shitty version of somewhere between Cat and Ja offensively. But if he doesn't play defense, he could have that Ja side of the game. Meanwhile, Bagley, I could see being his floor somewhere around be easy. He's be easy but with a motor. So
and bigger.
A little bit bigger, yeah. But it's just one of those cases where it's they all have clear flaws in their game. And it just turns into, do you think that big men could get injured? And that could end their career real quick.
Yeah.
Luka is versatile because his game is not based around his athleticism. It's based around him being a well-rounded player. So that's why I agree with Sean.
Well, and the thing that I'm looking at, kind of going now back to the bigs that we were saying, because with me, I want to bring Triple J into the discussion with Ayton and Bagley, whereas for me, what Sean said is Bagley better offensively than Ayton. I would say yes. The only reason I would say yes is, both can shoot the three, but to me, Bagley shoots it better. Bagley has a better
one's
percentage.
doubting that.
Yeah, I know, but Bagley has a better percentage of outside, but the rate is not the thing I look at is the rate of threes.
We're talking big men, though. So
No.
why does it,
But
down low, Ayton's much better.
But if both of them want to be fours, NBA, we're moving towards stretch fours. You've got to shoot that three ball. And I know DeAndre Ayton only had, this is per 36, but he only had a, 7.8% three rate or 7.8 three rate.
What are you talking about?
A 3-point attempt
He
rate.
shot 7.8 threes in 36 minutes?
If I'm reading that right, the 3-point attempt is
That sounds like you were
0.78.
saying you were shooting 7.6% from three.
Usually when I see the point, I'm talking about the attempt rate is a 0.78, whereas Bagley's is a 1.32. So Bagley is shooting more threes, but then you look at Jaren Jackson Jr., where he has the best three. Well,
he's an advanced stats
He's right
monster.
at the same as Marvin Bagley. Marvin Bagley is 0.01% better than
Just use the
Jaren
big numbers.
Jackson.
Jaren Jackson shot 96 threes
But
this year.
he attempts way more threes per game at 41 compared to the 13 number that Marvin Bagley has. So
He shoots 41 threes a game?
no,
I'm getting lost in these stats.
for
Ricky.
three.
Where are you going with
Wait.
this?
Let me explain this.
I don't think you're doing it right.
So I'm not. That's why I'm explaining this. So the 3-point attempt rate, the number for Jaren Jackson is .414.
That's in 36 minutes.
Yes.
Okay.
And the one for Marvin Bagley is .132. The
Okay.
one for Ayton is .078.
Let's do this.
That's the number is bigger for Jaren Jackson.
Yes,
That's the point.
Jaren Jackson shot more threes.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying
you
to say.
don't have to use the numbers. Jaren Jackson in college shot 96 threes
But
and shot
for
39.
Ayton and Bagley, it was marginal.
Jaren Jackson shot 96 threes and made 39.6% of them. DeAndre Ayton shot 35 and made 34.3% of them. And Marvin Bagley shot 58 and shot 39.7% of them. So Jaren Jackson shot more threes, but Bagley has the better percentage.
Yeah. The thing that confuses me is whenever it's like .123, usually they're talking percentages at that point.
Right.
Usually it's like a percentage and you go 100 and it's like, .390, it's 39%.
I look at all those numbers, and the thing that really sticks out to me is the free throw percentage, and that's going to be a bigger indicator of how you're going to shoot from how you're going to shoot from three. Jaren Jackson, he's shooting more threes. He's shooting, I think close to Bagley's 3-point percentage number, but he's well beyond, nearing 80% from three, the free throw line. So who's going to be a better 3-point shooter? It's going to be Jaren Jackson, but that's not all to an NBA game. And I think we look at these prospects. Jaren Jackson's probably the best two-way player out of DeAndre Ayton, Jaren Jackson, and Marvin Bagley
right now, yeah.
But again, it's that potential. What can you grow into? DeAndre Ayton, he might not have been good defensively in Arizona, but you still look at him. He's still got length. He's still got quickness. Same with Bagley as well. Jaren Jackson might be more physical, and he still has that length and quickness, but it's really, has he hit his peak, or where is Jaren Jackson's peak? So there's a lot of questions about these guys on what they will develop into. And I think, again, it's going to come down to what Dave said in the size of DeAndre Ayton, how big he is, and just the fact that he is bigger, that he's showing that quickness at how big he is. That's really the reason why he's been number one so consistently.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I think we all have, obviously, all three of these bigs going in the top four. And for me, the reason the Mavs take Bagley over Jaren Jackson kind of turned into the upside, like you said, Sean. It's what do you see their roles at the next level? I think Jaren Jackson Jr., I'm a bit hesitant at this point to say that he's a guy who's going to play 32 minutes a night. I think that, coming into the league, he needs to learn how to, and again, this might be just because it was a Michigan State team where he played physical defense, but his minutes were very limited because
22 per game.
Because of his foul issues, and if he can't be on the court, that does limit your potential. I think he's an amazingly talented young guy, but it turns into Bagley can give you minutes, he can give you scoring, he can give you great moves in transition. I think he comes with a lot of potential. Jaren Jackson could be a guy who's going to be a 25 to 26 minute a night guy who is great to pair with John Collins on that Hawks team, and you've got your 4 or 5 locked up for the majority of the minutes, and you are thrilled with that walking away. But just like you said, it's a magic P word. Its potential is there for Marvin Bagley to outshine Jaren Jackson Jr., even though Jaren Jackson looks like the better player right now.
I don't disagree. The reason I have Jaren Jackson going to the Mavericks there, though, is just because I think he is great in a secondary role. And you have Dennis Smith Jr., who is the one. I look at him, I saw the year he had this year, I think that he can truly be a one on an NBA team. So you need a guy who's going to be a two, who can be that pair next to him. I think Jaren Jackson's length, defensive abilities, and again his ability to shoot from the outside can be a perfect pair with Dennis Smith Jr. On that team. And I know we talked about Marvin Bagley's fit, and he'll fit well on that Mavericks team without a doubt.
Yeah.
But I think just having that 1-2 punch of Jaren Jackson's length, size, and defensive ability with the explosiveness of Dennis Smith Jr. might be too much to pass up. And again, the potential, I understand you're saying, 21.8 minutes per game, averaging over 3 fouls a game for Jaren Jackson Jr., but I don't think it's really a thing where, he needs to build up stamina a little bit. But again, I think it was more about the style and where he was playing in. I think he can really learn to take away the fouls. He can learn to take away, getting in foul trouble. I think he can play more minutes for his team, possibly top out around a 30 per minute, guy in the NBA. This guy isn't out of shape or anything.
No.
Like this isn't a motor question for Jaren Jackson Jr.
He makes you go hard at the rim, and he punishes you if you don't. That's one of the cool things you like about him. But at the same time, it's some of those fouls are stupid fouls at the end of the day.
And I think you can work that out of one of the youngest players in this draft class. So I think that's something where Jackson, he's younger than everyone else, and I think he's got that potential to really grow out of the bad habits he has. So that's why I have Jackson at 3. I think he's going to be a nice fit with Dennis Smith Jr. And the Hawks, I think they need more of a go-to guy to be a number 1. I think Bagley has shown at Duke that he has that go-to attitude, that he has that killer mentality, that he can be the guy with the ball in his hands and not be afraid. That's why I have Bagley at 4 to the Hawks. I think the fits are perfect because the Suns need a guy in the middle to really take out and damage and just beat up teams. I think DeAndre Ayton can be that. Jackson, again, I kind of talked about it, and Bagley is the one. They could be probably the biggest one, like the go-to guy out of all 3 of these big men. So the Hawks kind of need that. That's why.
Any concern about the John Collins fit with Bagley? Do you think they split time? Do you think they just go small and don't run with the true 5?
Yeah, I don't think they'll run with the true 5 because I think you look at John Collins, he's shown ability defensively, and I think
he's athletic.
He's still a big dude too. He's 6'11".
Yeah.
You're saying going small, you still have 2 dudes 6'11".
True.
At the 4 and 5. So you're not really. This isn't like Tristan Thompson.
It's not stereotypical rim protector. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that they'll be fine. I think Bagley will fit more at the 4, and Collins has shown the ability to stretch out a little bit, but not comfortably to that 3-point line.
Right.
But he can really work inside 20 to the hoop. So right. I think Bagley and John Collins could be a real nice pair, especially with Dennis Schroeder, Torrey Prince, all those guys. So I think it really lands out nicely for all these big men. Ricky, any thoughts?
Well, the last thing I would say is it comes down to the height as well, where it's like Ayton's obviously the one because he's the tallest, he's got the biggest wingspan, but the other 2, it's like, yeah, Jaren Jackson's a little smaller height-wise, but Jaren Jackson has the same arm span that Ayton has, except he's 6'10", and Ayton's 7'1".
Well, I think from early measurements, Ayton might have like an inch on him.
Yeah.
So
I was going off a Tankathon.
We'll get the official measurements in a couple weeks, hopefully.
Yeah, just throwing that out there because one guy knows like DeAndre Ayton, Jaren Jackson.
Do they have shoes on? Do they not have shoes on? I don't know.
That's not going to affect wingspan.
I know, but it comes into measurements. Do they have shoes on? Was he wearing what thickness of the sock was he wearing? I don't fucking know. Jeez.
They just
Wingspan.
shoes with wingspan.
Does he have gloves on and it's like a little thick on the fingertip?
No one's wearing gloves when they're measuring your wingspan.
yeah.
But the guy we didn't talk about that much is Luka Doncic going to 2 with the Grizzlies. But we mentioned this before.
Just feels like a good fit.
It's a good fit. I mean, he's a guy that's just going to be a great all-around basketball player. And the Grizzlies, it seems like that's been their mentality of get guys who are really good at a lot of things than just a
Honestly,
guy that's
it's
superb
someone,
at one thing.
It fits in well. You saw what Tyreke Evans did as a I can give you scoring, I can be a passing wing, I can get some rebounds still. Like he's exactly in that mold. I mean, I'm not saying he's Tyreke Evans because that's not what I wish for him, but I think that they saw.
What's a rookie of the year?
Jesus, don't remind me that drop off after that. But I think that what they saw there on how he worked on that team was promising, and Luka could come in a similar mold and provide a little bit of everything for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Luka's going to be fine. I think the Grizzlies, again, it's got to play out lottery wise, but I think if the Grizzlies are there at 2 and Luka's on the board, there's no way they pass him
happy.
up.
Yep.
Let's jump into the fun ones though. Our favorite team, the Magic, the Bulls, and the Kings at 5, 6, and 7. The Magic all taking Trae Young. I heard that people are afraid because the Magic really like length, but I look at this team. You need a number one. You need a scorer. You need a go-to.
Thank you.
And I understand that Trae Young has turnover issues, that he had a really rough end of the season. That kid did everything.
I mean, his usage number was
everything on Oklahoma. He had a higher usage than Jimmer Fredette, and Jimmer Fredette was playing on BYU. I mean, this is a Power 5 school, and this kid's getting double-teamed 43% of the time in his freshman year, and he had that type of year. I understand. Again, I still think the Colin Sexton's a better pro, has higher pro potential, but you look at Trae Young, and again, the super, who I think is going to be a better pro? Colin Sexton. Who I think can be a bigger superstar? It's Trae Young. He already is. It's no doubt about it. Trae Young's going to be taken over Colin Sexton. And I think the Magic would be stupid not to take Trae Young because then you're going to be able to pair Jonathan Isaac, Aaron Gordon, Evan Fournier with a guy who can get those guys the ball and also take scoring pressure off them with his ability to shoot from the outside. He's going to have more guys to rely on rather than that Oklahoma team that really didn't have a go-to scorer outside of Trae Young. This kid can really be the next superstar in the NBA. Trae Young at 5 makes too much sense.
As I was hearing you talk just then, the one thing really quickly about the young Sexton that just hit me was I almost want to compare it to when people will compare Darnold and Rosen on the NFL side, where it's like Colin Sexton may have the higher floor right now, but Trae Young to me might have the higher ceiling where it becomes the superstar thing. And the thing with the Magic that I was thinking about with Trae Young is I wasn't even thinking Colin Sexton here. I was thinking, are we going with Michael Porter Jr.?
No, I know, but I'm just saying he's first guard.
Yeah, he's the point guard.
Yeah.
But me, pick-wise, I'm like, do we go with Trae Young? Because honestly, DJ Augustine was pretty good for them this year, but he's not the future. Nope. We need a point guard that can be our future. Or do we go and get that small forward, power forward, whatever you want to put MPJ at the next level? And I want a guy who can score, get people involved, and also I'm sitting there as a Bulls fan, like, whatever, take whoever you want. I'll take the leftover.
The thing with that, though, is, again, the fit for Michael Porter Jr. on Orlando. I don't think it's there because we talked that he's probably going to be a 4.
I ultimately went with Trae Young.
He's probably going to be a 4 in the NBA. Aaron Gordon is a 4, and he's not a 3. They tried him at the 3. Didn't work. He's a great 4. You have Jonathan Isaac, who can be the future 3, even though the kid's a lanky monster. Yeah. Again, there's a lot of length on this team already.
And that's why the rumor I kept hearing was them going after someone like a Mo Bamba here and moving Vucevic. And I understand why they could think that, but I don't know the market for
Bismack Biyombo.
Bismack Biyombo, boys. Boys, they're a game changer. They're a playoff team now.
$72 million.
I just don't know what the value for Vuce is at this point in time. I don't think it's straight up anymore.
It's not Draymond?
It's Draymond.
It's not straight up.
I thought that was always the value.
Remember, Draymond straight up.
I know, boys. But I just don't know if the value is there, and I don't know who they would look for in free agency to fill in that point guard position. So I think you got to go for, like you said, John, the guy with superstar written all over him. Even if he busts, he's still going to be off the bench, a good backup point guard at worst.
I think you've been hearing this talk more in the NFL, but you hear guys like Quentin Nelson. He's an easy double. Don't swing for the fences. Hit the double. Orlando, swing for the fucking fences.
You need to at this
close
point.
your eyes and swing and take a shot
Just
with
pray.
Trae Young. And I think one thing with Bamba too. Again, that's a lot of defense there with him and Jonathan Isaac. You need a scorer.
Yeah.
And I know Fournier's putting up near 20 points per game, but you need a second guy on that team.
Who puts the bucket in the basket.
The bucket in the
ball.
basket?
The bucket in the basket.
The bucket in the basket.
The bucket in the basket.
The ball, who's the guy who puts the ball in the basket.
Yeah.
Trae Young. It's an easy pick.
Yep.
Let me throw this out there. What if we maybe see, and I don't know if the value would be there. I don't know how crazy this sounds, so you guys will tell me. What if they try to, all right, we'll take Trae Young at 5, then move like a Vucevic for maybe like the Clippers, try to get their 12, their 13, or somewhere there so that they can get not Mo Bamba, but like a Mitchell Robinson and come away with this draft with a guard and a big and still move Vucevic.
Vuce ain't worth like 12 or 13.
I'm just asking, Sean. They could try
I mean,
to
if
move it.
Nico was worth, a late one.
That was desperate playoff move.
I don't disagree. I'm just saying
That was also a late one.
I'm in the realm of I don't know what his value is. Like I said, Vucevic could be worth something. He could be worth a backup. He could be worth, a flat out like.
But Nico's one of the best shooters from 3 at the 4. So that was a perfect pairing with Anthony Davis.
Absolutely.
Vucevic can't play defense. He's not even that good offensively. He's not good.
He's decent offensively. You have to admit, like he's.
But when you get that many shots with Orlando, how good are you? Like, I don't know what Nikola Vucevic is worth, but I don't think he's worth like 12 or 13.
Do you think
I think it's probably both.
Do you think that Orlando would be confident enough to trade back a little bit because you don't think Trae Young will be picked up by a team like the Bulls, Kings, or Cavs?
The Kings won't take him. I don't think because they just got De'Aaron Fox and Buddy
Well,
Hield.
he didn't have that good of attorney.
And Frank Mason, actually. For the
Pretty
Kings.
good game.
Well, yeah, game, but his
Rhode Island.
team screwed him over. He didn't make a far enough splash for the Kings to like
But
him.
five seems a little high
the
for
joke,
Trae Young sometimes. I mean, you see him mocked anywhere from 5 to 13 out there. So
13's ridiculous.
I know.
I think it's
I'm
5
just saying
to,
what
his range
we've
is
seen.
5 to 9.
5 to 9. Okay, so you think they're just
I don't
happy?
think he slips past the
They're
next.
taking him at 5, and that's their move.
I think you just got to just take the guy that's going to have the biggest star potential. Just stop fucking around.
We make the joke all the time. How many starters do you have? This guy could get all those starters involved on the court.
It's
you
true.
can't have 11 out there at one time, but the 4 that you have with them can get everyone involved and hit them with passes.
And I think with the Magic, again, if you know this is the guy you're taking, like if you're just moving down to take Trae Young, just take Trae Young. Don't
play games.
Don't
try
play
to get
games.
greedy.
Because what if the Clippers want him? The Clippers have 2 picks. Move up, boom.
Suns
You're
have
done.
a couple picks.
Yeah, like again,
They need a point guard. Anybody hear that one
That's
before?
the thing. It's just like if they want to make that splash,
Yep.
just take them. Just take them. Don't fuck around.
All
Take
right.
them. And again, I know there's a lot of length, and Magic has consistently drafted length and gone after length with Bismack and all that stuff. But I think that they're not going to go with Mo Bamba. I think they'd be stupid to go with Mo Bamba, to be honest with
Join
you.
the
So
club.
Trae Young going to the Magic. All right, let's move into our favorite team. Well, your guys' favorite team, the Chicago Bulls, picking at number 6. Well, at least slotted to have the 6th best
Number 1
odds
pick,
to
called it.
get the number 1 pick. But the Chicago Bulls at 6. You guys have them going MPJ. Thoughts? Why?
This is one where, so for me, I would be happy with either Mikal or Michael Porter. Like, I'm happy here with 3 players. Trae Young, Porter Jr., Mikal Bridges. Give me any of those guys, I'm happier than a pick and slop. We got a guy that can help this team. The reason why I picked Porter over Bridges, though, is, yeah, some people may say Ricky, but he's injured. My answer to you is, how did that work out for the 76ers? You take the guy with the best potential on the board. I don't care if he plays next year. We'll be in the spot next year to get another top 10 pick. And when he comes back, hopefully that potential's there because this kid, if he was healthy, would have been in the top 3 discussion if he played all year.
1,000,000% agree. Like this isn't even a question for me. Like I like Mikal Bridges. I think he is being overmocked because of how successful his team had played in the tourney.
Winning it all.
He's a great 3-and-D player. Like no denying that. But can he be the guy on the team? I don't think so. I don't think that's ever going to be his role. Michael Porter Jr. in high school was the guy on his team. Michael Porter Jr. in college, we got robbed of that. We didn't get to see.
But,
go ahead.
I mean, when he came back, they changed that team for Michael Porter Jr.
But I mean,
They trained him, but
how
he
much
was-
practice
he
did
was
they have going
No,
in?
but
How
what
much?
I'm-
But he
I'm
was
saying
also
is, like-
65% confident in that
No,
bat.
guys, you're taking what I'm saying the wrong way.
Oh, okay.
He came back, and that team changed for him.
Yeah, I know.
He was that big of a name, that
Right.
big of a force that team changed the way they played for Michael Porter Jr. because they knew he was the best player on the floor.
Yeah.
Oh, I know
at
that.
65%.
Yeah.
Right.
So, like, you can say we were robbed of that, but we even saw glimpses of that he
Yeah.
was the best player on the team. That team changed to Michael Porter Jr.'s team, even though, all their guys, Cassius Robinson, all that guys, were popping off. His brother Jonte was popping off, lighting it up from 3. Michael Porter came back, not 100%, and still took over that team.
Still got the looks, still got the shots.
Seen as the guy.
Yeah. No, I just think that he has so much potential. He can be an amazing scorer. I really do think that it's one of those situations where we got if this lands like it does, for now we'll say it does. We got lucky that he fell to us. We got lucky that he got injured because, like Kirky's saying, there was a chance that Sean, you were still pressing as much as the 3.0 that he was still a top 3 talent in this draft. So it's crazy that we would be able to get him at 6.
I think it just depends on the way he performs at the combine. If he has a nice combine, I think he'll move up in my boards. But I look at him, he just looks so just stuck in the mud playing out there. And again, I know he wasn't 100%, but it's just like, how much can you get back to 100%? Will he ever be 100% again? That's the biggest questions I have. So if he comes back at the combine and pops off and looks healthy, looks mobile, looks fluid, looks easily shifting back and forth on his hips, then maybe this will be something different. He's got a lot of time to get there too because draft combine is until June or late May. So that's going to be something big for him is that draft combine. But I'm not ready to put him there and be able to say you're ready to go, because also with that Bulls fit, where does he play?
You roll him out the 3.
So you're going to put that guy at the 3, even though he doesn't.
Even if he's a little slow.
He's looks really slow.
We'll see when he looks healthy. That's the thing, is we watched him play when he wasn't healthy. He hadn't been in playing shape, obviously. So I think that you give him the off season to get back into game shape. I have no problem rolling him out at the 3.
Plus, let's be completely honest. We don't know exactly what we're going to do with Rolo. Could move him, slide Laurie to the 5, and then move Porter to the 4.
I mean, I know it's positionless basketball.
Yeah, I know.
Laurie Markkinen at the 5, oof.
Yeah, but we're not looking at him to be like a traditional center. We're just looking at him to be, he's a tall guy that plays center.
I mean, he's a
tall guy. Put him in center.
There's not a lot of defense happening there, though, with Laurie and MPJ.
I don't think we're looking for a defensive team. We're looking for spacers and shooters.
Yeah, I think he's going to be the 3. He'll be fine.
Denver Nuggets and just shoot the ball and not play defense?
I don't know.
It worked. It almost worked out for them this year.
Yeah, but they had a dynamic player in Nikola Jokic. Who's your Nikola Jokic?
I mean, I'm not saying they're not the same type of player, but Lowry can be the kind of a polarizing player out there.
Can he be Nikola Jokic?
No,
dropping dimes like that.
Dirk.
I've never seen.
He can be Dirk on the outside.
But
why is my voice this high?
I don't know. But Nikola Jokic is a wizard out there.
No, that's what I'm saying. They're not the same type of player. We don't have anyone who can distribute the ball as well as him. No. But what we do have
your point guards can't even do that.
Yeah, no, we can't. But what he can do is stretch the floor out in a unique way that not many bigs can. So I'm just saying that I don't think he's gonna. I think he'll be at the 4. I think Porter will be at the 3. I think we'll roll at the lap. It'll be big. It doesn't matter. We will be thrilled with him to land to the Bulls.
So your 5 would be Chris Dunn at the 1, 2 would be Zach, 3 would be MPJ, 4 would be Laurie, and then your 5 would be
Rolo.
Keep Rolo?
Yeah, until our next pick.
All right. Then Ricky, you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%.
All right, I'm going Mikal Bridges because he's not injured. He fills a position that you guys need at the 3. So you're going to have Chris Dunn, Zach LaVine, Mikal Bridges, Laurie Markkinen, Rolo. That's a pretty nice thing.
Like I said, I'd be happy with that too.
You don't have the star potential in Mikal Bridges as you do Michael Porter Jr., but Mikal Bridges is a fucking phenomenal player. That guy is going to be not maybe an all-star, but he's going to be consistently a great starter in the NBA. And I don't think there's a lot of bust on him. I think it's very similar to the Luka thing. He fits a role, a mold in the NBA, and as long as he's hitting his shots...
But we don't need a role player. We need a dude who can be the guy.
But the thing is that I think that you have 4 guys in Zach LaVine, Chris Dunn, Mikal Bridges, and Laurie Markkinen were all very solid starters. And I know Zach LaVine didn't look that good this year.
No, he didn't.
Again, he's still very young. Chris Dunn, still very young and showed very... I mean, I think he's probably older than Zach LaVine, but again, Chris Dunn's still getting used to the NBA game, and before he broke his face open, he looked really good out there.
That's pretty good.
So again, Laurie still young. This is still a team that is very young out there. And
by the way, not correcting Lowry is the hardest thing I've ever had to do for an entire segment, but I just gotta stop here.
You'll have 4 players that are really good starters. So I think that's something that the Bulls will have.
But do you take a top 6 pick for a really good starter, or do you take it for a star, Sean? We just had this discussion about the Magic. You want the Magic to swing for fences because
they haven't had a star.
They've got 4
they haven't had a star
really
since
good players.
Dwight Howard, and even then, and then
we haven't had a star since that other guy named Mike.
Derrick Rose.
Nah, I know. I'm just saying a Mike and in Chicago.
Also, Jimmy Butler was a star.
Yeah, I mean, he's a 1A.
So Jimmy Butler
Or is he a
star.
1B?
He could be a 1A.
We're not having that discussion. Jimmy Butler, Derrick Rose.
I know.
You guys are good stars.
I know. We're having fun, man.
Let's move on to the Kings now at 7. I am going Michael Porter Jr. again. I think his potential is too much to pass up at that point. And the Kings have a lot of young players where they can take that risk. That's why I have Michael Porter Jr. going there, is because they have Harry Giles, Scale.
Our whole team's
Willie
young, too.
Cauley-Stein.
We're just shitty.
But they have like 15 guys that are still young. Like they were dumping off players. They dumped off their 13th pick in Mikhail Richardson.
Malachi?
Fuck.
Yeah, it's because it's hard to get excited about Malachi Richardson. He looks like a strip.
No, but those are 2 first-round picks, and they just were like, oh, we have too many players. We got to cut
You know who's going to be the pick here, right?
Who?
He's a player that played in college, but he's from overseas, had a really good tournament. Mo Wagner to the Kings, man. It's all lining up.
You know what?
It's all lining up.
He did declare and get an agent.
Uh-huh. It's all lining up. Had a really good tournament.
Sean needs a drink right now.
The Kings are going to go Mo Wagner. I would not. I would go
This
Mikal
joke
Bridges
was funny
in my
2 years ago.
But it could line up. That's why you're giving me that look.
No, they're not that stupid.
I think
they
they're
took Papagiannis.
They'll go with the guy who...
They took Papagiannis.
They'll
go with the guy who had a great
They'll go
tournament
with the guy
performance.
whose team didn't lose by 10 points. Won every game by 10 or more
But he
points.
made it to the championship.
Great
You have
tournament
Mikal
performance.
Bridges.
I do,
Bridges.
and the
Let's
reason
be-
why is kind of the same thing as you. They need a 3. Mikhail's the best 3 out there, and he fits the role of, all right, Buddy Hield, whoever you guys want can be the actual star. I'll be out here on the wing. I'll play good defense. I'm going to hit some threes. I'm just going to be a good player for you guys.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't think they need him. They've got good depth at point guard. They've got good depth at the 2. They could use a 3. Right now, the 4 is up for grabs. Let's be honest. Like
They have a lot of 4s, though.
They have a lot of them, but no one's separated themselves out yet. I think we're all excited to see a healthy Harry Giles next year. We expect him to be a monster, but Scales is still doing okay. Willie Cauley at the 5 is the question mark because half people love him, half people think he's going to be gone. I don't know what Kings fans are doing with him. So I think you got to go 3 or the 5, and right now the 3 just seems like you're in heaven right there.
Yeah, I think that if Mikhail's there and Michael Porter Jr. is not, Kings will go with him. But again, my draft doesn't lay out that way. So the Bulls take Mikal Bridges and then go with Michael Porter Jr. 8, the Cavs. Again, so weird seeing them in the top 10 as I just picked them in the playoffs to win the NBA Finals. And now they're going to add Mo Bamba for me. You need a 5. You need a guy who's going to be a rim protector. Pairing him with Kevin Love going to be absolutely disgusting. Mo Bamba to the Cavs, I think, is a perfect fit.
No, this is exactly it. You get that defensive big down low. Like, barring LeBron stays, your lineup stays the same. And it's like, all right, Kev, we're going to put you back at the 4. Mo's there to be our defensive stopper down low. And TT, with all the drama that you had, we're just going to push you onto the bench and then eventually push you out the door.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is TT's contract,
Yeah,
really.
that's
but
why.
I've got him going with, again, a well-rounded defensive big. I think that, well, Mo Bamba has the weird physical body. Like, I don't know, his arms can reach the floor while he's standing up.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. But Wendell Carter Jr. has a all-around game. He already knows how to play next to a 4 who doesn't play great defense. I think he slides right into this scheme. I think that he's
knocking Caleb's defense, Dave?
Yeah, we all are knocking Caleb's defense.
I will say he had that one great.
He had one great play.
That one great play.
He earned
That's all he
earned
needed
that
because
ring.
he got a ring.
Earned that ring. But Wendell Carter Jr., there's been a lot of interesting comparisons to him coming out, matching a young Al Horford as far as their capabilities on the floor, what they can bring to the team. I think that he would be a ideal fit for this Cavs team.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. But so Wendell is a better fit, and that's why you have him going over Mo Bamba?
I don't like Mo Bamba's all-around game. I think that Mo has a lot of potential, but I think Wendell Carter fits a Cavs timeline
So it's because
for keeping LeBron James in the championship hunt because
So
he
it's
is a
because
missing
he's
piece.
so raw. It's
Yeah.
because Mo's so raw.
It is. I think Mo can't help a team compete for a championship in the next 2 years.
So if it wasn't the Cavs taking here, and it was just a team
I would
that
be more
needed...
inclined, but I've been low on Mo the whole time.
Okay.
Like, you guys know this. I
I
get
mean,
ripped on it, but
You
Again,
had Mo
he's not your
outside
top
the top 10
10.
last time, too.
So-
and I've got him outside again. I just don't. I don't see the massive upside of going for a defensive star. I've seen what Rudy Gobert can do. I can see how he changes the game.
I don't think he's just a defensive star, though. That's why.
But that's the
he's
difference.
Going at
I mean, yes,
8.
if he continues to develop his offensive game, it would be
Add that
interesting.
3 ball more
Add the 3 ball
consistently.
and his shot. But again, he will never be a 1 in my mind. He will never be
I don't.
able to take over games. So I'm going for fit. But if I'm going for all around talent, like Wendell, lower upside, higher floor. That's all it comes down to.
And for the Cavs, again, they need someone in their
Who can
expedited
contribute, yeah.
timeline. I see where you're coming from. Again, I like the Wendell Carter fit there. Again, it's weird seeing
if
Mo
you
Bamba
take
out
away
there.
the team, I would probably go Bamba because of the potential.
I think it's something, though, that, again, with Marvin Bagley, very polarizing player. Either you love him, think he's going to be the best player in the draft, or you think he's, again, a good player, but probably doesn't have an
Not
NBA
the modern
fit.
NBA.
Yeah, where you look at Mo Bamba, he's either someone's third best player or he's like 12, where you have him. Like there's no really middle ground for Mo Bamba because you either see a ton of potential in the size and the athleticism, or you see a lot of work to do. Let's now move to the New York Knicks, though. I am going Wendell Carter Jr. We talked about this last week, where I think he fits really nicely at the 5 spot, next to KP, next to Frank, next to Tim Hardaway Jr. I think it's a really nice fit. And with Michael Porter Jr., Mikal Bridges, Trae Young off the board, I think Wendell Carter is the right choice there for the Knicks. I think he's going to be easily a nice slide in and fit for the New York Knicks at 9.
No, for me, it was Kevin Knox, where it's like I looked at their roster and I'm like, you know what? Where every player is gone yet, another 3 to where I'm like, you know what? Let's go with him. Plus, I was kind of diving into the comments and on our Knicks video, we had a recent one from Boogeyman where he said, I'm surprised the lack of love for Knox. Yeah, he's a bit behind the other 3, but he has the most upside. And that's the thing with the Knicks right now. KP is there, but he's still developing. Frank is obviously developing. If it's going to take a guy that's 3 years, I would still go with a Kevin Knox here because of the upside that he can bring.
What upside do you see in Kevin Knox, though? Because I don't know about that whole upside thing. Like I get it. He's very raw. He's a raw kid. He had a decent 3-point shot, but I don't know if he's going to develop into a star. I don't know if he's going to develop into that next level guy where Wendell Carter, again, like Dave said, he might not be a next level guy, but he's going to be a decent starter without a doubt in my mind. So that's why I think he's a better fit. And I think with the Knicks, again, you're getting a new head coach in there. That's obviously going to play into the factor with the picks as they fired Jeff Hornacek. But I think this is something where you need to at least hit a double because you have Kristaps Porzingis, you have Frank. You need to be able to secure that their future is going to be in the playoffs and not picking at the top 10 again. I think Wendell Carter will help you get back to the playoffs rather than possibly just gambling at a guy who's very raw. I think there's a lot of raw players already on this Knicks team. Get a guy that's already solidified.
Well, and the thing that I kind of think back to is also it depends on who they get to be their coach.
That's true. Right now we don't know.
Someone comes in, maybe then Kevin Knox doesn't fit that coach's play style or what he wants to run.
If you think it's so raw, he can be molded to whatever. He has the physicals to be a NBA level small forward. Nobody's going to argue that.
And also
perfect body, great athleticism.
The thing that I kind of think of is look at the team that he is coming from. He's coming from a Kentucky team where it wasn't like Kentucky to me wasn't that one team where it's like they've got Kevin Knox and that's who they've got. He's the main go-to guy. No, they had him. They had Shea Gilgeous. They had a collection of guys. They had Diallo to where it's like, you know what? It's not just one guy. Yeah, he's not a first-round talent anymore in our mock drafts, but that to me is also he's not going to be the number 1 on the Knicks. So that's why if I'm the Knicks, I wouldn't hesitate to take him at number 9, I think it is.
Yeah, you do have him 9. I've got him going with Miles Bridges. I think similar scenario, but this is a guy who's proven it. He came back to college for one more year. Question marks about the cash reasoning beside that. But
surprised he didn't come back for year 3 because he didn't win it.
Honestly,
I thought he really wanted to win that title, man.
Yeah.
He really wanted to win. Not 2 years enough.
I think there's
one.
a three-lettered agency that kind of pushed him out a little bit.
Maybe.
Not saying anything, Noah Conley, that he did take money, but maybe.
If he did, whatever.
Also, it seems like there's a lot of scumbags coming out of MSU because apparently, some reporter said that now MSU, 3 players from the MSU football or basketball team.
Yeah, there's a lot of question marks out there.
Raped her back in 2015, so now you also have the Larry and Star stuff. So I think it's probably the right time for
to get out
Miles Bridges to get out of Michigan.
But I thought he really wanted to win that title.
But you know what? Regardless of him not winning that title, he still was a very good player this year. He was a very good player last year.
He was the man for that Michigan State team.
He continued to develop his game. His 3-point percentage shot went down a little bit, but his volume stayed about the same. I think that was more so because of the way the team played rather than like he took a step back massively because he didn't. He's got a good body. He's got great size. I think he would be an excellent addition to this Knicks team. He's a good fit because he doesn't have to come and start right away, but he's got an NBA-ready body at this point in time.
Yeah, it's something where Bridges, again, he doesn't have that athleticism that Kevin Knox has, but he's just a all-around player.
Again, it might be a little bit of a reach for him because he does like his upside. I still think is very high, but I think other people see him because he's a second-year player. He's instantly a knockback on him.
Well, I look at him too. It's just like I don't know if he needs to lose weight. If he's just like he's got a very weird body size. I don't know if you guys see that
he's
too.
like 6'7", 230. So yes, he is.
He's a big dude, but I don't know if it's muscle or if it's like he needs to start working out a little bit more. And that's something that worries me because like then if it's not, if you're not really restricting yourself and you're not really on the right diet, then that might lead to other problems on the floor if you might not be really restrained in that way.
We've seen what NBA conditioning can do. I mean, when Jokic came in the league, like the dude was just chugging down Coke and pizzas like left and right. Like he didn't care. Like that was his diet.
Marc Gasol too.
Did it. Marc Gasol.
Well, look at
so many of these guys.
Joel Embiid.
Joel Embiid was
like,
a twig.
Yeah, he was
I know.
Stick.
That boy had no muscle.
Twig, and now it's like he looks like a man out there.
But that was
he's more than a man.
But that's something
He's Joel
scary as
Embiid.
hell.
That's why again looking at Mo Bamba, I know this is totally different. But that's why I
see
look
the
at him,
upside.
I see the upside.
I think Bridges can build up that muscle. He can get into great shape on an NBA team for a whole season.
I'm not saying he's out of shape.
You were the guy who was the biggest fan of him last year.
I am.
You loved that boy.
I have him going at 10 right now to the 76ers, so we'll talk about
There
it.
you go.
I think that Miles Bridges is still, again, a great player in the NBA. I'm not saying that he's not going to be. I'm just throwing out things. We can't just talk positively about everybody. That's boring.
I know.
So I look at him, and again, he's going to be in a situation that he doesn't need to produce right away. If Rocco's slipping up, he steps right in, and it's going to be very similar spots. It can be asked to be a spot-up shooter. It could be a pretty decent defender. I think he could be a really nice 3-and-D player and work off Rocco. I think the Philadelphia 76ers, I don't know what the hell they're going to do with all their picks, but I mean, this is a team that was just picked by Ricky Widmer to go to the NBA Finals, and now...
Spoilers, what if they came to this first?
Well, that's their fault. If they stayed for 46 minutes, I don't think they're going to be listening to the 55 minutes on the NBA playoff
they are,
predictions.
because they love us, Sean.
Anyways, again, this is a team, if they go to the NBA Finals, they're able to add Miles Bridges. Insane. But yeah, I think Miles Bridges can be a nice fit. He already feels like he fits into this team. Maybe they look at the 2-guard to get a better shooter to fill that role if JJ Redick leaves, but there isn't a 2 to fit there. So they'll go with Miles Bridges and get it back up to Rocco.
Well, and another thing with the Sixers, I know we'll talk about it later, is they do have another pick, but I look at this and to me it came down to I go Miles Bridges because, I mean, small forward, you can fit some guys there, but really it's like Rocco or maybe Saric. Then I look at the bigs. Not high on Amir Johnson, not high on Holmes.
Well, Amir Johnson isn't going to be on the...
Exactly. He's up at the end of
joke.
the year.
Yeah.
So same with like Rashard Holmes. He's got a club option. And then Ilyasova has still got the cap hold for next year. I think Wendell Carter is the pick. If he is still there at 10, get a guy who can play the 4, play the 5, be that all-around big that Dave talked about earlier. Yeah, that means you might have to pass on a Miles Bridges because he's still on my board there. But I would value that Wendell Carter, pair him up with Joel Embiid, rather than pass on him and go with a Miles Bridges with all the guards and wings you have anyways.
And Dave, we talk about the guards and wings that they have. You talked that they needed a 5 before the podcast. Mo Bamba's on the board. They built up Joel Embiid to a monster.
But
who do you go
fuck
with?
that. They're going Zaire Smith. Look, you don't take your last best draft pick that you're going to get for the next question mark years and go ahead and use it on a guy who's going to be a backup. Screw that.
Unless they get the number 1 pick, they just go Ayton.
Well, yeah. But no, the thing is,
I'm saying like that's
they're
only
a
other
playoff
best
team.
pick they could
There's
get.
no reason to believe that they're going to slow down in the next 5 years. So this will be their last best pick on paper. I just think that this is a guy in Zaire Smith who we watched play in multiple positions throughout the year because this Texas Tech team was lacking. They had some injuries. He went anywhere from 2 through 4, guarded guys across the board. His physicals are insane. He can just absolutely stuff people. He can go in transition and play amazing transition defense. Offensively, he's okay to decent, but if he continues to develop, and guess what? He can because they're the freaking 76ers and they can develop shooters. I just think that you take a guy with upside, with the physicals, with every reason to go after it because, again, last best chance.
So he's your future 2, is what you're saying.
He's your future, like, Swiss Army knife, pretty much.
Okay.
And if not, just redshirt him. What, Joel redshirted, Ben Simmons redshirted.
He's not injured.
Markelle almost redshirted. Like, Markelle almost redshirted. It's like, it's the 76er way of, like, just sit out. I don't care if you're
I don't even think you need, like, it's one of those situations where he can get time and develop because there's so many contracts that they have that are going to be clearing up. So I just think that he is a guy who has some of the highest upside left and can fill a role for their future team moving forward with heavy minutes.
This is just my opinion.
Yep.
The 76ers, if Mo Bamba's still on the board,
Take him.
they'd be stupid to pass him up. I understand what you're saying. That, like, you don't want to take a big man and the guy's going to be a backup.
Yep.
But also, if Mo Bamba's able to develop and be able to turn into a monster, you can move him. And you can get more value than Zaire Smith could ever bring.
Can keep getting injured, then you have your replacement right there. I agree, the logic's there. I just think that it makes a statement about Joel Embiid if they go ahead and take another center at this point in time.
It means they don't have confidence in him.
And they sign him to the contract.
But also, like, you look at the 4 and, like, do they need Dario? Maybe they move Dario. And they
you shut your whore
But
mouth.
no, I'm just saying, like they have so many players that they can move. I don't think it's just about
Call
asset.
Jake.
I think it's just something about asset building, and you're just picking the guy with the most.
Here's the thing:
most picks, and he'll be a bigger asset. Like that's why I'm thinking it's in the 76ers realm. I don't think it's something that's like, oh, that's a statement about Joel Embiid. No, Joel Embiid's going to be their starting center, and yes, he might not be healthy, but still, you're not planning on him not being healthy. You just signed him to a max extension.
Right, but you're figuring the fact that they have 2 draft and stash players from the last couple years in Matthias Lesort and Jonah Bolden, who are both playing really well over in Europe. So you have those guys you can pull over if you need that depth at power forward. I just think that because of that, they're going to go ahead and go for, like you said, I wouldn't disagree with the Mo Bamba pick here. I'm just going for this would fit their wing depth. He could play defense on 2 through 4. It's exactly what they're looking for. He's a decent offensive player who can develop into a much better one. That's all I'm aiming at.
Again, I'm not disagreeing with the wing selection. It's just the fact that Mo Bamba is still
available,
and I
and
love
I'm
Mo
an
Bamba.
asshole.
So that's the only reason why. All right,
Fair enough.
We're wrapping it up. 1 through 10. This has been like 50 minutes of awesome podcasting.
It's awesome.
But we
Always
still
awesome.
have 2 more segments to go. But anyways, let's move into the second segment. We're going to be talking 11 through 20. If you're joining us on YouTube, don't forget to check out the 1 through 10. That was a whole hour of goodness over there. This is our 4.0. We got 2 more mocks coming out after this. We got our 5.0 after the draft lottery is set. We'll be doing a lotto only. Then we'll be doing our 6th and final one, I think a week before the NBA draft. But let's finish up the 4.0. 11 through 10, Ricky Widmer, take it through. Take us through yours.
Starting out with the Hornets, it's weird. They're first time out of the top 10 in our mock draft. Got them going with Miles Bridges, the forward from Michigan State. Then the Clippers, one of their 2 picks, this is via the Pistons, taking Colin Sexton, point guard from Alabama. Then the next pick, they take Mitchell Robinson. He's had a huge jump in mind. They take the center from high school, well, not college. Then Lonnie Walker to the Nuggets, the guard from Miami of Florida. Robert Williams going to the Wizards at 15. One of my favorite point guards in this draft, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, point guard from Kentucky, going to the Suns. Then the Suns take Zana Musa from overseas. Kyrie Thomas going to the Spurs. Hawks then taking Anthony Simmons. And then Zaire Smith, who Dave just talked about in the first segment, finishing it out, going to the Indianapolis Pacers.
Big Duck.
Indianapolis, because that's where they play.
I do. The Baker's Fieldhouse.
That was painful. That was a painful stare down.
You just looked at me like, why did you say it
Well, like,
that
I
way?
was ready to go to Dave, and you're like finishing Indianapolis Pacers.
Indianapolis.
David Oster, take us through your 11 through 20.
All right, I got the Hornets going with Colin Sexton at 11. The Clippers going to take Mohamed Bamba finally at 12. Finally. The Clippers' second pick, they're going to go after Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. At 14, the Nuggets are going to take Kevin Knox. 15, Robert Williams going to the Wizards. 16, with the Suns' first pick, they're going to take Mitchell Robinson. 17, they are going to take Jonte Porter. At 18, I've got the Spurs going with Zanan Musa. At number 19, I've got the Hawks taking Anthony Simmons. And 20, the Pacers from Indianapolis taking Keita Bates-Diop.
All right, my 11 through 20. Hornets going with Colin Sexton. 12, the Clippers going with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. 13, the Clippers going with Kevin Knox. 14, the Nuggets going with Zana Musa. 15, the Wizards going with Robert Williams. 16, the Suns going with Jonte Porter. 17, the Suns going with Aaron Holiday. 18, the Spurs going with Anthony Simmons. 19, the Hawks going with Zaire Smith. And number 20, the Pacers going with Melvin Frazier from Tulane, making his debut on our mock drafts. The biggest thing I want to talk about, I know this wasn't highlighted, we're going off script here. Dave, I just realized
I've got 3 bigs.
No, you have the Clippers going with Mo Bamba and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yes.
That is a monster A plus draft for the Clippers. That's insane right there.
Yeah. I mean, if you get the value of getting Mohamed Bamba at 12, take it. By all means, he is your DeAndre Jordan. Mm-hmm. Done. Great. You're awesome. But guess what? We got Bamba coming in. Like, that's just the perfect way to continue your defensive big down low, and then you've got your point guard of the future there. I mean, you've already got scoring from other guys in that team, so I just think that two young players with massive upsides. Shea really climbed the boards late in the year. His performance in the tournament was spectacular. I think that just those two pairing would be ideal for this Clippers team moving forward.
Yeah, he isn't a great shooter, but I mean everything else is there for the kid. He's got wingspan, he's got defensive abilities. I mean, he just looks like an absolute monster. And those two seem like a disgusting pair. But let's jump into the teams that we want to talk about. We haven't talked a lot about the Nuggets, the Spurs, and the Pacers. So let's talk about that 14th pick. I had him going with Zanan Musa, the international forward. Ricky, you had him going with Lonnie Walker, the guard. And then Dave, you had him with Kevin Knox. So that's a big fall for Kevin Knox. Let's jump over with that. Really like the fit for Kevin Knox, but I mean, that's a big fall for Kevin Knox, 14.
Well, it's very hit or miss because it depends on how much you believe in Kevin Knox. What you saw at Kentucky, do you feel like he was properly utilized? Do you think like he should be a guy who needs to be the point of the team? Like he needs to be the guy on a team, or is he more of a role player? What we saw a lot of the time at Kentucky was him sliding out of the spotlight. And I think that could work for this Nuggets team in their advantage because they're getting a guy with the athletics to play small forward. They're getting a guy with a shot that looks pretty good. I think the potential is there, but there's a reason he's not a top 10 pick in my mind. That's because he hasn't proved it yet. He hasn't proved to anybody that this guy should be a top 10 pick. I think that what you're getting here is value based off of potential, and absolutely nothing's been proven in my mind.
And Ricky, you have him with Lonnie Walker. Kind of same build, guy that really didn't have a lot to prove. Bruce Brown goes out, he had to take over that Hurricanes team. Really raw kid, very athletic, so kind of same realm there.
Well, and that's why for me, it's almost the same realm. If I looked at this roster and I said, all right, they've got Jamal at the point guard. They kind of seem set there. They've got Gary Harris locked down. They've got Wilson Chandler at the 3. They've got 4s. They're not going to go there. Yeah, like Jokic is the center. He's locked down. They're not going to go to backup there. And for me, it's like, okay, what's the best player on the board? My best player available was Lonnie Walker. And because you already have guys set up, you can bring him in, develop him like you want. Because for me, it was either, and I know he was a little bit further down, for me, it was either Lonnie Walker or Kyrie Thomas. Which guard, forward do I want? And after looking at the stats, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go with a Lonnie. Although all the stats, field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, foul line, was all in favor of Kyrie Thomas. And Kyrie Thomas might be a little bit or a lot of bit better defensively. The raw development of Lonnie Walker could mean his potential, that magic P word, is higher, and the Nuggets can take that stab and still be okay.
Well, and Kyrie Thomas, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think I am wrong by saying this, but I'm going to say it anyways. He's a sophomore, right? I think he was a sophomore, and he's
at Creighton.
Yeah,
he was 21, almost 22.
So he's older than Lonnie Walker. Lonnie Walker's
19.3.
Yeah, Lonnie Walker's a young kid. So I mean that's one thing that also is a thing. Kyrie Thomas might be more developed, but again, we're talking about potential.
He's a junior, here.
Yeah. So junior. Thank you. I knew he was a guy that was older. So that's one thing where I think that's a big thing. Kyrie Thomas has had more time to develop. He's also had more time to work with McDermott over at Creighton, where Lonnie Walker only had a year to work with Larinaga.
And let's be honest, this isn't just because their draft position would change also, but if the Nuggets would have made the playoffs, then a guy like Kyrie Thomas might have been able to work better because it's like, okay, we're a playoff team. We can have this guy come in now and help us, whereas it's like we're on the fringe. We can still take that guy that we can develop, and he can take a year to kind of develop into what we want.
I think Denver's just young. That's the thing with them.
Are you concerned at all? Like, do you think they have to go make a splash in free agency and get a small forward? Because right now, like, you're rolling on your hopes.
What big splash? Who's going to want to come to Denver? That's my question.
You need somebody. You need somebody because Wilson Chandler isn't
is
exactly
he going to want to come to Denver?
The answer.
Hey.
I like Wilson Chandler. I'm just saying.
You're throwing out Will the Thrill Barton out of the window?
He's more of a 2, let's be honest.
And
we don't
Gary
know about
Harris
his contract. We don't know about the contract.
Well, that's the reason why
he does come up at the end of this year.
That's the reason why I'm going Zanan Musa.
Small
forward.
guy.
Small forward scorer. Come on. I mean, this team doesn't play defense. So give him Zanan Musa, who's a 6'8", 6'9", athletic freak who can, or not athletic freak, but
the opposite of that.
He's a good scorer. He's a pretty good driver. He's got a nice body, and he can shoot from the outside. So, I mean, that seems like a really nice pick for them. So Zanan Musa fits pretty decently with the Nuggets.
So he's like a
Nice
step
fit.
ahead of the game age-wise from where Bojan was, but similar role right now.
Yeah,
I think
and
that's what you're looking at.
I think it's something that, again, Musa shown that he's a pretty decent driver. We called him budget Luka, right? I think
You did.
I think we mentioned that. No, I think we said
It's
something
the
where he's
first
like.
time I'm hearing this.
I think
I don't remember
I think
you saying
you
it.
mentioned something. Okay, I'm not. Maybe he's not
I was
budget.
talking about Isaac
I don't know
Bonga.
it- I
when
don't-
Oh,
said
Isaac
budget.
Bonga,
Okay.
that's who it
I
was.
said budget.
I'm mixing up our.
I'm like, I don't
small
remember
forward international
budget
players.
Luka,
Yeah.
man. I
No.
feel like the comment section would have erupted.
No, it was Isaac Bonga. It was Isaac Bonga. It was much lower. What's his face? But I think you look at Zana Musa. Looks like a pretty good basketball player out there. He's got a really nice shot. So we'll go with Zana Musa there. Again, small forward could be something that there's so many guys that can play wing, and
That's the
I think
thing.
they could sign someone that can be a 3-and-D guy because they don't have any defenders on their team. But offensively, this team's ridiculous. So just get another
Just
offensive
keep
player.
throwing
Zana
gas
Musa.
in the fire.
Yeah, why not? Just be was it the Timberwolves? Timberwolves can't play defense.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, so just be the Timberwolves.
It's weird to say that a Thibodeau team can't play defense, but they're not really good defensively.
There was one team last year that was like, I forget. Maybe it was the Rockets last year?
The Rockets last year were
Okay.
not amazing defense.
Yeah, so I forget what team it was. But anyways, let's move on to the Spurs at 18. It's weird seeing the Spurs this low, and that's why we're talking about them here. So the Spurs have an opportunity to pick someone that, maybe just a guy who fell out of the lottery a little bit, young player, could really develop into possibly the next star if you're especially losing Kawhi Leonard. So let's talk about the development process, the guys that they should go after. Are they going after BPA? Are they going after position fit? Because this is still a team that made the playoffs. What's the idea here for the Spurs?
For me, I was just looking at it for what was on the board. Kyrie Thomas, he was a guy where it's like, you know what? This Spurs team, that being older, being a junior, will not affect the Spurs. They actually would prefer that, and they'll go ahead and take a guy who can be kind of like with Kyrie Thomas. It's not an exact comparison, but I'm almost thinking of him as budget Mikal Bridges, and the only reason I'm saying that is my Bulls in mind of like, okay, if we don't get Mikal at 6, could we have gotten Kyrie Thomas with our second pick? He's the one that I would want. That's why I'm thinking that in my head, and the Spurs can go ahead and take that 3-and-D guy that Kyrie Thomas can fit at the NBA level.
I'm just going easy. I'm going, it's the Spurs. They're going Euro, Zana Musa. I mean, come on, it's Pop. Come on. At the end of the day, I don't know why I keep saying come on, but Zana Musa, Sean, you said it. He can stroke the 3 from the outside. He can stretch defenses. Defensively, he's questionable, but we'll see what he can do at the NBA level. I think that he can come in a limited role and not be forced into something he's uncomfortable with, develop under the Spurs, and become one of those, again, one of the many role players who you see Pop just get the most out of him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I got, obviously, Zana Musa's off my board, so I'm looking at a guy that you need to get the most out of. You got to get the most out of him. You're getting a young player in Anthony Simmons. Go get a young kid. I mean, he's a combo guard. You need someone who's going to be a scorer compared to DeJounte Murray, who, very raw player. Seems like he can be a very all-around player.
His go-to move is like the 4-foot floater.
Yeah.
I mean,
so,
that's...
Anthony could be a guy that could be a scorer in the NBA. And he's very young, very unpolished, very raw kid. So, working with him, you took that shot already with DeJounte Murray, and DeJounte Murray's paid off so far. Very young, raw kid coming out of Washington, DeJounte Murray. So go after, get another guard, and you can pair DeJounte Murray and Anthony Simmons in your backcourt. Be a pretty nice future 1-2 punch for the San Antonio Spurs, especially with the unknown of Kawhi Leonard. What's going to happen with them? Maybe they even move up in this draft, which would be something crazy if they're able to and think about trading.
If that Kawhi Leonard thing, who knows?
Again, we talked about the Cavs having that 8 spot. I think I'd probably take
calling a Kawhi to the Cavs?
I said that before.
Yeah, I know.
Kawhi over
But
Mo
again-
Bamba. I'd probably take Kawhi. For the Cleveland Cavaliers. So I think that's something that could definitely play into a factor here is what happens with Kawhi Leonard. But just looking at the Spurs, I think you need to go after potential. Who has more potential than the kid coming out of high school? And Anthony Simmons. You have pretty much the mold to pour into all the potential, all the Spurs
he's got
knowledge.
Good size, good speed. I think that he's got all the tools to be a quality NBA player. It just turns into, what is he going to act like at the next level? Because he's been dominating guys as a 5th-year senior. So we'll see what he can really do at this next level.
And let's move on to the final team, the Indiana Pacers, another playoff team here.
No, not the Indiana Pacers, Ricky.
The
Indianapolis Pacers.
The Indianapolis Pacers. We all have them kind of going in the same realm, a 2-3 idea, because you look at they're situation right now. Obviously, Oladipo's there. They're pretty set at the 4-5 with Sabonis and Miles Turner. And then you look at Bojan, where he's been a good three-point shooter.
Yeah, he's been a pretty good player.
But, again, you need some youth in there. You need some athleticism. We all kind of went with that idea. I went with Melvin Frazier. You went with Zaire Smith. Ricky, you talk about athleticism. And then Dave went with Keita Bates-Diop. We all thinking that they need some outside shooting and some athleticism here?
Exactly. And like this team to me, you're in the East. You're not going to get a player here that is a LeBron James type player. Duh, that's a hot take there. But the thing is, you can add a guy that can help you. You're in the playoffs. You'll be a playoff team next year if your team continues the progression that they were on this year. And a guy who can shoot, be athletic from the outside, can maybe help you win if you don't get paired up against the Cavs in the first round.
Yeah.
I mean, if Zaire Smith's there, that would be a really cool fit for them because him and Oladipo both have that more physical style to them. They could pair up well. I think that'd be sweet for me. I'm going scoring. I'm going Keita Bates-Diop. I think that this is a guy who can stroke it from the outside, who can absolutely be the guy who can run a second unit and keep that offense rolling.
That's pretty big there. I mean, you think he's going to be able to keep that offense rolling in the NBA?
At the second unit level. I'm just saying.
So he's off the bench.
Yeah, because you still got Bojan. I think that's the idea.
I mean, that's big there for Keita Bates-Diop to be running the offense, though.
Not keeping the scoring going. This is a guy who can put balls into buckets or baskets into buckets, as I said earlier.
Baskets into buckets.
I don't like. I think.
Is he not a guy who can just take the ball and go?
I think he's just more of a well-rounded guy. I don't think he's more of that scorer. I mean, he did that in Ohio State, but
that's the thing.
I see him more being more of a secondary player and more of helping defensively due to his athleticism and length.
I mean, I don't know he has good size. I just think that because of where he was at the end of his time at Ohio State, being the scorer on that team, I think it could transition into early on in his career being the scorer off the bench for this Indianapolis Pacers team.
I'm going with Melvin Frazier because I don't know about scoring for Melvin Frazier, but he's going to bring athleticism. He's going to bring the ability to shoot from the outside. He's going to bring quickness, and he's going to bring defense. So it's pretty much the same thing, but I think he's more of a fit at that 3 spot or possibly even that 2 spot. And float between him and Depot. I think that Melvin Frazier could be a really nice pick there. He's an okay free throw shooter, and he was pretty inconsistent shooting from the outside at Tulane. But looking at him, looking at his build, looking at his speed, I think that he can be some guy that would really interest Indianapolis because you look at the Oladipo athleticism. You look at Miles Turner, how big of an athlete he is.
Yeah.
They like their athletes. Paul George was a great athlete as well. I think you can totally see them exploding that. Lance Stevenson, I think they like their athletes. Melvin Frazier could be a guy that really fits that mold and turn into a stud because I think he's got a ton of athleticism on his side. If he comes more consistently a better three-point shooter, I think he can be a guy that can really be a steal at 20. But now we're going to get into the fun part. We're going to talk about the prospects that we absolutely love. Ricky, I'm going to give it off to you now.
This isn't a prospect that I love. This is more of a prospect in this range that I wanted to get your guys' opinions on something because, as I mentioned earlier, Brandon and I last week did our big board for the NBA draft, and we talked about Robert Williams. Well, there was a comment from Lee Taylor who said, "Love y'all show, thanks Lee, but stop the Robert Williams nonsense. Nobody wants a 6'9" power forward with no shot." There were some replies to this. The Knowledge Seeker said he's a center, not a power forward.
True.
Anybody who plays him at the power forward would be stupid to do so.
True.
Lee goes, nobody's winning anything with a 6'9" center with no shot. You can get that in the G League or the vet minimum. What do you guys think with that? Because with me, yeah, he's got no shot, but what Robert Williams brings on the, not just defensively, but just that how aggressive he is.
Intensity.
Going after, he's a true, like Brandon said, true 50-50 guy for loose balls.
Okay. Let's stop this real quick, okay? Let's look at the Warriors center. Does Zaza have a shot?
No.
No. Let's look at the Rockets center. Does Clint Capella have a shot?
Nope.
No. Let's look at the Cleveland Cavaliers center. Do they have one?
Nope.
No. When they won a ring, who was it?
Nope.
Who was it?
Nope.
Who was their center when they...
Kevin Love.
TT.
It was TT. TT was their center when they won a ring.
Yep.
TT doesn't have a shot. He doesn't have anything.
Or Perkins, because they usually sign him.
But I'm saying when they won a ring. You guys, are you fucking deaf?
No,
when
I know.
the Cavs
Kevin
won a
Love.
ring, who
I
was
know.
their center? It was TT.
It was
Kevin
TT.
Love
You
was
guys-
in the game for the play.
TT.
I'm just saying.
Okay, the play, but like who started the 7 games mostly for them? It was TT.
I don't know
You're
if he
such an
started
asshole.
7 games, to be honest with you.
TT was playing most of those games. That's my point.
So I got the
God
contract.
damn it.
He got a contract because he was there for LeBron. They're
Finally.
Bucks.
Let's look at the
they won.
Heat. A team that's consistently been there. Hassan Whiteside. Does he have a shot?
Nope.
No. Does DeAndre Jordan have a shot? Jordan have a shot?
But is it
No.
like
You don't need a shot to be a 5.
but
He's
do-
athletic.
You
He can
need-
run the rim,
But
and
do
he's a
people-
fantastic defender.
Do people look at that because of like the Joel Embiid, who is a 5, but
Joel
he's got a
Embiid
shot?
is a freak of nature.
I know he's a
he's a
freak of
defensive
nature.
player of the year candidate. He's an offensive
We're not
player
yelling
who's
at you.
monster.
I know.
He's
Dad and I
a
are
guy who
fighting now.
he's a guy
They are
who
fighting.
breaks the mold, and that's the thing. Is I agree with you. We had a small discussion about this. We were talking about how all of the best offensive bigs are moving to 4 because you want a pure rim protector at the 5. You don't need a guy who has to go out there and drop to the 3-point line to defend guys. You want someone who can crowd the paint, who can block guys who are driving to the lane, going for that instant contact. That's exactly like, look at Porzingis, look at Cat, look at all of these bigs who are coming into the league. They're all wanting the 4.
And the
Well,
one-
Joe's the only one that plays the 5 because
Yeah.
they need to play like Dario.
play
and-
huge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're a massive team.
Also,
like,
he's massive.
yeah, like that's the thing is like like he could probably be a 4 and
Oh, yeah.
do it fine, but also he's a great defender, so you're gonna
But
be
their
able
best lineup is with him at the 5 because, like
Yeah.
you said, they can space out the floor with Dario at the 4.
to.
And then
Ben,
the one
too.
thing
Yep. Massive. What's up?
just to finish it with
Yeah, yeah.
Knowledge Seeker then said, and this is the last one.
Yeah.
There are plenty of centers who don't have a shot. Gobert, DeAndre Jordan,
Gobert! Thank you.
Whiteside.
Yep.
He said he actually, Robert Williams, reminds him of DeAndre Jordan a lot. No shot, free throw percentage isn't good either. You lob the ball to him and he dunks it. I need to look at his defense more, but I wouldn't take him before 13. 15 to 22 is my range for him.
Hey Ricky, where did DeAndre Jordan go to college?
He went to Texas A&M.
Texas A&M.
Did he?
Oh,
Really?
where did Robert Williams go?
Texas A&M.
Oh, there we go. Like you know,
And
I
where
mean,
do we all have him going? 15, right at the top of shot. I forgot the commenter's name already. Knowledge Seeker's range, 15 to 22.
yeah. Again, I think that Robert Williams could be. I've heard this comparison a lot. Ben Williams. Ben Wallace. Ben Wallace is a comparison for him. Ben Wallace
Okay.
didn't have a shot, but he was a great
No.
defender. This kid's a great athlete. He has a really great knack for just being aggressive, and I love that in a defender. I think he could be a really nice rim runner. Again, for the Wizards, that'd be really nice. Having Bradley Beal and John Wall have a dangerous rim runner and a great rim protector. Hell yeah, with Otto Porter. Sounds awesome. I think that's a great fit for the Wizards. I think Robert Williams, again, he doesn't have that offensive game. You're not drafting for his offense. You're drafting for his defense. And maybe at some point he could develop a shot, but really all you need him to do is run off pick and rolls and just be able to run the rim and grab offensive boards and put up shots. I mean, this kid's
And really-
such a strong man that he can just grab offensive boards and,
And
put it
really,
back
for
and
the
get second chance
Wizards,
points.
would you really need him to be your main center? With you got Gortat for another year.
Oh,
Well,
You
we're
got-
both going to grumble under our breath over
You
here.
got Gortat and Ian. Ian's locked out for 3 more years. Well, 2 more.
Ian Mahimi, no.
Jan Mahimi. Killing the voice. But
It's Ian Mahimi, fuck it.
I know. Let's just roll with it. Honestly, I think Robert Williams, good value probably there. And you can, if you go second round, you get a budget guy, someone who I like, Segaba Kanate. I know I destroyed your name. I'm sorry.
Oh, so I can't say Ian, but you can't say Sabanamake.
Exactly. But dude's 6'8", incredible athleticism, has a knack for going after people near the rim. Like there is, I totally agree. I think that is a in-demand position because when you look at the teams, like Sean said, the top teams in the league, they're not focused on landing someone at center who is their offensive machine. That's not how we play the game right now. You want someone who can protect the rim. So guess what?
No more
If
Patrick
Robert Williams
Ewings of yore.
If Robert Williams can do this with his size, his athleticism, let him. That's perfect fit for a team because you can just focus on offense at the other 4 spots and not worry about that rim.
Well, and we've seen consistently that these teams need a 5. These teams need a 5. So Robert Williams is going to be taken higher than he might even should be because teams need a
Yeah.
5. Teams have that need. So we look at Ricky's right now. Mitchell Robinson goes at 13. Robert Williams goes at 15. Then there's not a center coming off the board until 29 at Brandon McCoy. But you could totally look at the Wolves. They
Well,
need a 5. I mean,
The
no,
whole
just-
thing that screws it up is Gafford going back to school.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
thing. But
Yep.
even Gafford, he would be in top 20 right now.
Yeah.
So like that's the thing with like the Wolves. They need a 5 at 22. The Bulls, could need a potential future
Absolutely
five at 23. Like the Lakers you can throw in there at 25.
Yep.
I mean, Zubac's been nice offensively, but he's not that good defensively.
Right.
You look at all these players. We talked about the 76ers, 26. They need a 5. Like, there's a lot of teams that need a 5 that fit that mold. Robert Williams is going to be taken higher than he probably should be because of the need.
Yep.
So
100% agree.
That's one thing with Robert Williams. Good choice there, Ricky.
Nice, Ricky.
For Robert Williams. We're closing in, so Dave, give us some Jonte Porter talk.
Jonte Porter. This is a kid who no one expected to be the star of this team because guess what? Big Brother is the better player, and all of a sudden,
it's weird to say the injury benefited him.
Oh,
the injury of one benefited the other.
I'd say
Porter.
like it was an awesome story if they got to play together. But let's be honest, like Jonte really got to spotlight this year, and his size, his shot, and his ability to pass have really impressed me. I think he is going to be an awesome addition to the team. I've got him going to the Suns because I think the Suns are going to miss on their picks. So I've got him going 3 bigs. And you'll think I'm crazy for this, but guess what? They drafted 2 power forwards a couple years ago. Both of them questionable still. I think they need to lock this down because you have someone special at the 2. I think they're okay with rolling with Alfred Payton at the 1.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like they need to find their guys to lock up the 4-5.
Yeah,
so they
badly
just
right now.
realized you have Eaton, Robinson, and Porter to the Suns.
They're gonna lock up the 4-5 period this year because they're gonna have problems developing players.
Yeah,
they're gonna move Marquise Chris is gonna get traded or some awful shit. Like
the one thing too with that is there's not a point guard that they're missing out on. I would think that's the thing. It's like
not really.
Anthony Simmons is a combo guard. He's not a 1.
Yeah,
so you're not really missing out on him
to distribute.
And the next 1 isn't really there. Like there's not a true point guard. Behind those players.
Not that I would invest in at that price bracket.
You'd
because
be reaching
going
for
with.
like Jalen Brunson would be the one,
I wouldn't
but
even-
you'd be reaching.
Yeah,
at
he's a guy who is like a great
leader.
great person, great leader, but I don't want him out there as my 1, as my star player because of value. Like you said, go get him in the 2nd. He could be there still.
Yeah, and especially with the Suns, they're going to be having a high-end second round.
Exactly.
So yeah, it was weird first seeing 3 big men for the Suns, but I understand
it's the
your backing. It is the Suns. And finally, the one I'm talking about. Oh, also, real quick, the Ringer put out the Ringer draft guide. So they had 3 guys: Danny Chow, Kevin O'Connell, and Jonathan Sharks. Put out their top 30. I think it's Danny Sharks, or is it Jonathan Sharks? Jonathan Sharks. Jonathan Sharks had Jonte Porter at 9 overall.
Yeah, he's a unique talent. I think people are underrated him.
So, and you said wow. So, like, is he top 10 worthy?
At this point,
let's put it this way: with my big board, I had him at 21.
You a hater.
That's where I had him.
I mean, but like, why did you have him there? What do you think the biggest negative of a guy like Jonte Porter?
For me, it was he wasn't on my big board in 2.0, so he was coming into my big board, and there are just so many other guys. There are like 20 other guys that I would rank over him. Obviously, because he's a 21.
That's how it works.
Like that's how a big board works. But like. That's really it.
Ricky Widmer for you, everybody.
Like,
In-depth analysis of Ricky Widmer. I got 20 guys better than him. That's how he's at 21.
Really 19 because the Gafford news didn't come out until after we recorded that. But like
Sean, what a gem
like a
question.
Robert Williams. I wouldn't put him over Robert Williams. Wouldn't put him over Lonnie Walker, Wendell Carter, Shea, anyone we've
I don't
talked
need you
about.
to go through the list. I was just asking about a negative for Jonte Porter. I look at a kid who's 6'11" and can't grab a fucking board. He doesn't have over 7 points a game.
Yep.
Like that's a huge negative for him. And I like his ability to stretch the floor. And when you have a guy like DeAndre Ayton or you have a guy like Mitchell Robinson who could turn it into a good rebounder.
Come on, you're saying over 7. He averaged 9.9 points, 6.8 rebounds. You're just hating on the 7 number. You're just throwing the 7 number just to piss people off.
Okay, well even if he had 7 rebounds, it's not like good for a 6'11" kid.
I mean,
Like
it's not,
that's what I'm saying. Like
it's not good, but if you watch where he plays on the court, it sort of makes sense why he does. It's like no offense, but like I know Brooke Lopez is a different guy, but like it's a big who's not near the basket. And the same thing with Pau Gasol. It's the same thing with like. There's a lot of bigs who are not known. Al Horford can't grab a rebound to save his fucking life.
Yes, but Al Horford's also a beautiful passer.
But 6.8 boards is not bad, and that's about the same range.
But Jonte Porter isn't the same passer. Al Horford
he's not.
Is. Or
he's not
same
even
with
the
Pau
same
Gasol,
realm.
or Brooke Lopez.
I'm just giving you examples of bigs
who
stretch, who don't have that. Who all have that same commonality.
But it's something that I think it limits his upside. So saying he's a top 10 player and he can't rebound. Come on.
Can't is
That's
strong. 6.8 is still
great
okay.
rebounder.
Not great.
He's not a great rebounder. Especially for his size, he should be a better rebounder. Like, let's be honest.
He's 6'11", he's only 240.
Final guy I want to talk about is Colin Sexton. Going back to the Ringer draft guide because they just put it out. Jonathan Sharks has Colin Sexton at 19. And we look at Danny Chow and Kevin O'Connor. They have him around 12 and 13. I have Colin Sexton going to 11. And one of the negatives they list is that Colin Sexton might be too aggressive, might be too wild, might be too much of a loose cannon. Wasn't really finding
Wild
his
card, bitches.
wasn't finding his teammates wild enough. Was taking bad shots. But look at that Alabama team. That Alabama team wasn't that good.
He didn't have a team around him.
Colin Sexton was the team, and he had some decent players out there. Their starting five wasn't terrible, much better than Oklahoma's.
But it was basically him and Avery.
Yeah,
was
like that. That's the thing is
him and his coach.
I mean, there was other players. They had some guys who could shoot from the outside, but Colin Sexton has what you need in a point guard. He has that ability to be the guy.
He's Brondo. He's got what you need.
I think he's got a little bit Brody in him. Like the thing that he is the guy. I think he's got the mentality of he's not afraid to take that last shot. He's not afraid to drive to the basket. He's not afraid to take over a game. And yes, that might be a detriment, but I'd rather have that guy who's trigger shy. Like I want a guy who's going to be able to go out there and dominate a game. And you look at the Hornets. If they're getting rid of Kemba Walker had that it factor. He had that I'm the guy. This is my team. Maybe a little bit less pulled back because Kemba Walker was a super quiet
actually
kid.
Won things though, in college.
Better coach and better team.
I'm just saying,
Jim Calhoun was a legend.
Won things.
All right,
And he also had a better UConn team.
That's what I said. I
guys
just said
around.
better
I know.
coaching,
I'm reaffirming it because he had a better team.
Colin Sexton though is also a monster, and Colin Sexton deserves more respect because I feel like he doesn't. So Colin Sexton, I think he could be a top 10 player. If I was doing a big board, he'd be in my top 10. I just think Colin Sexton is being underrated. I think he could be a huge steal.
Let's hear what Ricky has him at.
I had him at 9.
You did?
And then now you guys have
And Brandon had him at 11.
Yes, that's about right.
I like that.
And again, the Hornets fit's perfect. I think that's exactly. We're all thinking Kemba's done because they've pissed him off.
Just saying, don't sleep on Colin Sexton. Let's move into the final segment of our Mock Draft 4.0. If you love the mock drafts, give us a like. Don't forget to subscribe as well. We hit 10K, but we're not trying to stop, so let's keep that rolling.
We're
let's keep
cruising.
the ball going.
We're cruising.
Let's try to go 15 before the draft even starts.
But the kind of
set it big.
The kind of cruising that I like, not like what my mom used to say when we were younger. We're not cruising for a bruising here, guys. We're cruising for more subs.
All right, you're a dork. Anyways,
That's just me though.
The mom quotes.
cruising for a bruising. Cruise us through your 21 through 30.
Well, starting at 21, the Jazz going with Jonte Porter. Just talked about him in the last segment. I got him going to the Jazz at 21. Then the Wolves at 22 going Gary Trent Jr., the guard from the Duke Blue Devils. Then my Bulls at 23 going Chicago's own Lincolnshire born. He's going Jalen Brunson, the guard from Villanova, to the Shy. Then the Trailblazers at 24 going Jacob Evans, the guard forward from Cincinnati. Then at 25, LA going to take a kid from LA, Aaron Holiday, guard from UCLA. Then Larry Shamet, right? Saying that right?
Landry Shamet.
Shamet? I thought it was Shamet. I thought we were saying
We
it
will
wrong
wreck his
before.
name one way or the other.
I didn't get Shamet. I probably said
Cover
it
our
wrong again.
bases.
Guard from Wichita State. Then the Celtics going KBD, just giving the initials there. Bates Diop from Ohio State. Then Shake Milton going to the Warriors at 28.
It's Shamet.
29.
Shamet.
Shamet. That's right. Then Brandon McCoy going to the Nets at 29. And then just because he declared today, he said he's coming to the draft, he's going to the Hawks. Mo Wagner, the forward or center from Michigan.
Scumbag. So at 21, I got the
Whoa, remember, this was stated early, Dave hates Mo Wagner.
Yeah.
Were you calling Mo Wagner a scumbag or
Yes.
Ricky a scumbag
Mo
for putting him at 30?
He got a second round count anyway. It doesn't matter. At 21.
Fringe one, too.
At
Mo
21.
Wagner is like our biggest fan. I don't know if you know that. He follows us on Twitter.
He
Hey,
loves us.
remember, friend of the show,
does.
Mo Hurst from
Yep.
Michigan.
He does. Yeah,
That's fine.
Mo Hurst is
That's
actually,
fine.
we actually interviewed him.
Yep.
I literally just picked him
Friend of
out
the show.
during the championship
That
game.
one's not a joke.
21, I've got the Jazz going Brandon McCoy. At 22, I've got the Wolves going Troy Brown, somebody who's really dropped off a lot of people's maps. 23, I've got the Bulls going Kyrie Thomas. At 24, I've got the Trailblazers going with Landry Shamet. At 25, I've got the Lakers going Lonnie Walker. Fell really hard in mine, just kind of the way things worked out. 26, I've got the Sixers going Jacob Evans, the wing out of Cincinnati. 27, the Celtics, and true to form, taking DeAnthony Melton, someone who I've had them mocked, I think, since 1.0. 28, I've got the Warriors going for their shooter on the outside, Gary Trent Jr. 29, the Nets taking DeAndre Hunter out of Virginia. And 30, the Hawks taking Eli Okubo, international player.
I literally just switched up my mock draft, so let's give you the fresh 21 through 30. At 21, the Jazz going with Killian Tilly from Gonzaga. 22, the Wolves going with Mitchell Robinson from high school. 23, the Bulls going with Kyrie Thomas. 24, the Trailblazers going with Bruce Brown. 25, the Lakers going with Brandon McCoy. 26, the 76ers going with Josh Okogie. Number 27, the Celtics going with D'Anthony Melton. 28, the Warriors going with Troy Brown. 29, the Nets going with Keita Bates-Diop from Ohio State. And 30, the Atlanta Hawks going with Jalen Brunson. I switched up Troy Brown and Gary Trent Jr. Gary Trent Jr. is a great shooter. Let's not get that wrong.
That's about it.
I thought you
That's
had Grayson Allen in here at the end.
I
changed it as I was
swapped it
talking.
3 different times.
Okay.
So I had Gary Trent Jr. there.
Kind of like my
Grayson
playoff
Allen.
predictions. I kept swapping them.
Throwing in Troy Brown there because, again, I think Dave kind of swung me over. Troy Brown, we'll get to him, but fell off a little bit, but he's still got a lot of potential. We're talking about 3 teams, though, and we're talking about 25, 26, and 27. The Lakers, 76ers, and Celtics. Let's start off with the Lakers at 25. I have them going with Brandon McCoy. Ricky, you have them going with Aaron Holiday. And Dave, you have them going with Lonnie Walker. So, real quick, did I mention that? Did I do my 11 through 20 for the first? Did I go through my 11 through 20? Because I don't remember saying Aaron Holiday's name. Because Aaron Holiday was a guy I had to go in at 16 to the Suns because he's a guy that...
You know what? I don't think
he did.
No,
he did because he talked about he did because he mentioned Melvin Frazier, I thought.
I did, but I don't remember saying Aaron Holiday's name. So, anyways.
You did because after you said Indiana Pacers, Dave looked at me and said, or Ricky would say, Indianapolis Pacers.
Yes, they've been renamed.
Anyways,
So you did.
with Aaron Holiday, though, I have him going at 16 just because they need a point guard. The Suns need a point guard. He's the best point guard on the board. I really like that he fell this far, though, to the Lakers. And a guy at 25, I think this is more of his talent range, and I think this is where more likely he'll go. But talking about point guards are a need for the Suns. That's why they have him going at 16. But how do you think he fits in with the Lakers?
Well, for me, it would be obviously backup role because the point guard right now is Lonzo. But Lonzo was hurt this year. He's not going to be on the floor the whole time. You need someone to back him up. So having that backup point guard will help. Also, the thing that's great about the Lakers is they're in a position to where let's just take they can go strict BPA in my mind to where it's like we've already got Ingram, the progression that he had this year. If he shows that next year, he can boost himself up into being I don't want to say all-star, but that almost that level kind of a player. If we see the Magic telling Lonzo this is going to be the biggest summer of his life, or has to be, his improvement can make the team better to where if they just bring the BPA for them, and for me that's Aaron Holiday, with a little bit of what they need, because obviously there's no center here that would go to them.
Now, that's one thing that I want to bring up, is you both have them going with guards. They have Josh Hart, Lonzo Ball. They might even be bringing back IT. So what's the process of getting
back IT?
They could. I mean, they've mentioned that
they are. They've mentioned it, but I don't think they are.
If the free agent market really isn't there, he's already used to the team.
He could be on a prove-it budget.
Yeah, I mean, if they give him a prove-it contract, you might have 3 guards already there. So you have them going with guards, both of you. I mean, Dave, are you worried about maybe clogging it up and not going away with a need in a center?
Again, there's no center there, so you'd be reaching if you have center unless some fall happened in the draft. At which case, if there
unless
was,
you go Mo Wagner.
But you wouldn't, because you need a defensive center, and that's the problem. I've got them going Lonnie because I think he's a guy who needs some time to develop. Like we talked about earlier, Ricky mentioned this is more of a raw talent guy. He got there because of his physicals, because of what he can potentially do. Obviously didn't have the best season this year, but at the same time, injuries all around, so it happens. I think he can kind of sit because I like Josh Hart. I like Lonzo. I think that those 2 guys are going to be great going forward. My big question is, Lonnie's a guy who doesn't need to prove it day one, can grow, but I like the Aaron Holiday fit as a backup point guard because I think Little Holiday is probably going to be a great backup point guard. I'm just going for a guy who maybe has higher potential than that right now in my mind because I think Lonzo is locked in as your point guard for the next decade in my mind.
Yeah, for sure. The one thing though with that is it's a pretty big fall for him.
Yeah.
So I mean, Lonnie Walker going that low. I mean,
he could go anywhere from honestly the Suns at 16 down to here. This is the last team I had him going with. The Suns, I went with we're not going to miss on our 4-5. That's they need to lock that in. For me, after that, the Spurs could take him. 100% time to develop, no problem. Hawks could take him. They've got 18 picks, doesn't matter. Pacers was questionable because of the playing time needed. And then obviously the Bulls was a team where I wanted to take him. I really badly wanted to take him. But I held myself back because I was like, no, I like Kyrie Thomas. I sold myself on it. I'm just wondering if Lonnie Walker is going to be one of those guys who athletically is there, but doesn't put it together on the court. And honestly, I've got that gut feeling that he won't. And that's why I'm like, look, he's got potential because he has the physicals. But at the end of the day, I don't know that I see a great NBA player there. I don't know that I see a starter in the NBA. With him being, when he gets to 24, 25, 26 in his prime, I don't know that he will ever be a starter.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big question, and I totally don't I see where you're coming from, but again, looking at Lonnie Walker and what he can bring to a team, I think that he can totally be someone that could end up being a starter in the NBA. I'm looking at my mock draft. Did I put Lonnie Walker at all? I didn't put Lonnie Walker in my draft.
Yeah, someone who haven't fallen off the board completely.
I didn't know that.
Talking shit about me.
No, you didn't.
I would have put him in there. Son of a bitch, guys.
I also made a mistake in mine, too. You know who I forgot to put in my first round just to put him in?
Chimezie Metu.
No, not
because you always put him in there.
No.
Even though he's totally not going to get drafted.
LiAngelo Ball. LiAngelo Ball.
At 30, you're going to have him go. That's right. Or no, to the Lakers. You're right.
Yeah.
Lakers at 25. LiAngelo Ball. Just write it in there.
Shit.
Get the crayons out.
Lonnie Walker's Lonnie Walker's a top 20
You gonna make an edit right now to your mock draft?
No, it's
locked in.
With.
Yep.
I'll just make sure I'm not an idiot.
That's what you get for changing your drafts 6 times while we're still talking
That's
out
what
loud.
happened.
You're not gonna do the Colin Cowherd special of, wait guys, I just changed it. Put the graphic up. It's just changed.
It's not a mock draft. It's my mocked draft.
His is a problem. His is a problem because he said he's not a mock draft guy. I think he's at 19.
Yeah.
Anyways, I have him going with Brandon McCoy. Brandon McCoy, a little bit of a reach here, especially if Lonnie Walker's on the fucking board. But Brandon McCoy, defensive center, 7'1", pretty athletic kid. He's very raw. We already went through it. All right, come on. But Brandon McCoy, long kid. I think that he's very raw. But they developed raw guys before. I think they have the time and the timeline to develop a raw kid. 7'1", big kid, could possibly turn into a
they
defender.
land free agents, and then they're a championship contender next year.
That's true. Brandon McCoy will be like a 13th guy. He'll be in the G League. So there you go. But I think Brandon McCoy, with his measurables, I think he could be an interesting prospect that people might jump out on. Let's go to 26 76ers. Again, back in the discussion, and we talked about where could they possibly be going here. We all have them going guard, though, because earlier we had them going all forwards. So looking at this, again, we kind of talked about outside shooting. Was that the idea here?
Well, the way I was going was I had you take my best big available at 10, take the best guard available, hit your front court, back court, and then you're set going into the second round.
Yeah, for me, it was just go for your defensive wing. I mean, you can never have enough wings. If Houston has taught us anything, it's build around a bunch of guys who can play multiple roles for you, and that's exactly what Jacob Evans can do for you. He can stretch the floor. He's very good with steals. I mean, he's decent all around. It's just one of those things where he's just one of those perfect role players.
I still can't believe I left Lonnie Walker on my board.
Sean's going to be like, Lonnie Walker mock here as well.
The 76ers would love Lonnie Walker
I think
as well.
They would.
I have him going Josh Okogie from Georgia Tech. Very long kid, very nice wingspan. Looks to be a great athlete, could be a decent shooter. We talked about, going with Miles Bridges at 10, could be a guy that could back up Rocco at the 2 here. Josh Okogie could be a nice player, could add some defense to this team, be a nice shooter, possibly be a backup to JJ Redick if they re-sign him. And maybe they need him to step up and play some decent minutes. I think that he can be a guy that can really step in and be a pretty decent role player for them. I don't know if he'll ever take that next step, but again, we're talking about the Sixers here. They don't need you to take that next step because they already have their future 5. And this kid, nearing in 20 years old, was a sophomore for Georgia Tech. I really liked his mentality out there when watching him. So Josh Okogie, I think, is a really nice fit there for the 76ers at 26. Let's wrap it up with the Celtics at 27. Again, I'll go in defense. I'll go in. Dave and I have him going D'Anthony Melton, and Ricky, you have him going Keita Bates-Diop. My thought was just looking at Marcus Smart's expiring contract. You probably need a backup there. D'Anthony Melton kind of fits a very similar role.
Yeah, I think that he's a guy who can walk in the door. The problem is he hasn't been playing basketball this year, so
that's true.
He's got to get in basketball shape. The upside is that this is a team that has a shit ton of talent coming back to them next year because they will be healthy. we assume they'll be healthy. So he's not a guy who has to step in and play immediately unless like we have the weirdest catastrophe ever where the Celtics lose their top 5 players in back-to-back years. So he's got time to develop. He'll be in a great system under a great coach, and he can come in and play a small role and really exceed at that one defensive specialization.
Mine was easy. It's what I've said for the Celtics for some time. Can you block shots? Can you rebound the basketball? More so rebound the basketball, which Bates Diop can do. That's who we're going to go with. They need a big. They need to help out their bigs because, yeah, they've added Brown and Tatum in recent drafts. They've got Kyrie. Hopefully Hayward coming back, the 2 injured guys. They need to address that front court. They need to do it, especially here with this draft pick.
Bates, I mean, he's 6'7", so I mean, he's not a massive guy.
No, he's not massive, but like, can you play good defense down low and grab rebounds?
But do you think he could be comfortable at the 4 in the NBA? Because I feel like he might be more of another wing.
To me, it was to the fucking based on how everything came out. It was Bates Diop, McCoy, Wagner. I'm going with Bates Diop over the other 2. Although I kind of do like Wagner over McCoy. That might flip in my next mock draft that we do.
Yeah. I think the Celtics. I think they're looking guard. Or at least maybe a little bit bigger. But again, Bates Diop is probably the best player on the board. So I see where you're coming from there.
Unless they magically get the 2 or the 3 in the lottery, and then they can go with a Bagley or a
don't you put that
Jaren Jackson.
Don't you put that on me.
Real quick, since we had a markdown, if they get a 2 or 3 pick, and let's say Ayton's off the board, they have Bagley, Josh Jackson, Mo Bamba. Who are they going with?
I had him go with Bagley in our 1.0.
Josh Jackson Jr.
Jaren Jackson.
Jesus Christ. This is what happens when you record for like 4 straight hours.
It's horrible.
And we still got
another
more.
thing to do.
Anyways, that NFL one to do.
Let's wrap it up. All right, let's talk about the guys that we really are interested. Dave, throw out Troy Brown.
This is a guy who last year really impressed people coming in as a super young talent. He's kind of the he's a passing wing. I want to say like he's got good handles, good court vision. Not excellent. He's not going to walk in and try to be like LeBron James by any means, but he is a good passing wing out there. He can take shots. He can lead a team. And honestly, I think the problem is he wasn't as successful this year. So you didn't hear the name come up. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't anything special. But I think still he's a well-rounded player and definitely worth the take.
Ricky, you have one player out there. You want to talk about him. Going to your Bulls.
Dude, I had to have Jalen Brunson go because this is a guy to me. I know he's not going to be like, the starting point guard of a team, but he could be a guy that adds to a team in some way. Like the leadership that he brought to Villanova, the kind of player he is both on and off, even when he was sitting on the bench in the national championship game because he racked up some fouls and got pulled out. He's a guy that I would really, if Kyrie Thomas is off the board like he was on mine, I wouldn't mind the Bulls reaching a little bit to go ahead and take him at 23.
The guy I had that I was going to be talking about was Josh Okogie, but we already talked about him a little bit. So I'm just going to take a couple minutes here to apologize to Lonnie Walker for leaving you off my mock draft. And I'm also going to apologize to the viewers because, you know what? I had a rough segment, and I'm going to apologize to everybody out there.
Can you tell me a little bit about Killian Tilly? Because he's someone who kind of stands out because Ricky and I don't have him in this section.
No,
You've got him going 21.
Look at Dave being a host. I had him going in the top 20 last year, last mock draft too, going to the Jazz as well. I look at Killian Tilly. I think this kid, maybe not the same hype around Zach Collins, but Zach Collins balled out in the NCAA tournament. He's a really nice shot from the outside. Seems to be really aggressive. I really like his size. I think he could be a really good player. Might not end up going in the first round, but I think that he can be a steal in this draft because I look at his ability as an athlete. I think he's pretty fluid on the floor. As a basketball player, again, his shot is really nice, and I don't know if he's going to be able to develop into an all-around player, a starter. But I think coming off the bench on a playoff team now for the Utah Jazz, I think this kid could be something really nice. And the fact that people are sleeping on him, just want to throw his name out there.
All right.
I think it'd be a nice fit on Utah, especially if Derek Favors is leaving. So I think that could be something that putting him at the 4, being able to stretch out, add some offense next to Rudy Gobert could be a nice addition. Again, maybe it's a little bit too high for him. But I think he is a player that could really be a nice fit on Utah. Maybe Utah gets him in the second round, but I think at that spot, looking at all of their needs, I don't think there's a player that really stands out. Maybe it would be Lonnie Walker if Lonnie Walker was there.
You didn't say it. I was like, maybe Lonnie
So,
Walker.
actually, yeah, Lonnie Walker is my 20. Let's just say that.
All right.
Whatever.
Better place, Killian.
Anyways,
Mock draft 20.0, Lonnie.
that's going to wrap it up for the Fast Break Podcast. We just did over 3 hours of podcasting, what it feels
and
like.
It's going to be more. Watch out for on the channel.
We love basketball.
So don't forget to subscribe to
everything.
Most Valuable Podcast and check out all of our NFL draft coverage. That's coming up all next week and the week after. It's going to be super fun. We also
You're
got
actually
a
going
ton.
to be on the onside kick draft week.
That's true. And we also got a ton of NBA draft coming up. We got more mock drafts, 2 more mock drafts coming out. We got one more big board coming out, and we're going to consistently be covering teams, who they should be taking without the throughout the next couple of weeks. We're going to be talking about Trae Young next week, going to the Bulls because of our patron Pat Hill. So if you want to join patreon.com/mostlypodcast, head over there, join the $10 tier, and you can talk about your topics and your opinions on a podcast. But for Dave Oster, for Ricky Widmer, I'm Sean Anderson. We'll see you next time.